Welcome back into part 2 of the CHRISTOS Kabbalah show with the secret of 1111 decoded here. And we're going into this quite deep, how things are connected one to another. So we're looking at the sun symbolism, how that represents a three-part aspect of our being and of God. Therefore, it actually proves the Trinitarianism that there's a three-in-one aspect to God. Doesn't mean it's three separate entities. Jesus is a man. He attained a Christ state of potential and taught that to man. And there was many teachers from the sons of God coming to teach. So let's not get into that. Right now, we're understanding of what they taught. They taught the alchemy of the soul to become more enlightened. And that meant, in alchemical terms, we're turning lead into gold. So gold was represented by the sun in alchemy. And in alchemy, the sun symbol is represented by a circle with a dot. That can also show, okay, the dot can be expanded out and can be a line. All right, therefore there's three parts to this circle, the above the dot and below the dot, or above the line and below the line. And when you have a circle, what does this represent? Basically the pi ratio. How do you find out pi? By doing the circumference divided by the diameter. We have 22 parts divided by 7 equals pi, 3.14. Well, it just so happens to be that what? We have the tree of life. Whoops. With 22 pathways on the tree of life and 7 levels to it. Okay? 7 levels. In alchemy, this symbol is the sign of salt. So the sun can actually be symbolized as salt. Do you see that? And if it's like that, to find pi, you can show that this is broken up by 11 parts above and 11 parts below. 11, 11. Everyone knows the yin-yang symbol these days. Okay, the yin and the yang. The circle with what? The line in the middle. The line in the middle. This is exactly the same. And this represents the two pillars that you're initiated between. And that is the serpent in the garden. That you're supposed to be in balance of the two halves, the two extremes. Walk this path in moderation is what Christ taught. Now, not only is pi very important for geometry, the most important for geometry, but phi is 1.618. Does anyone know how you get phi? Well, does anyone know about the Fibonacci sequence? Well, I'll just go over this quickly. Fibonacci was a monk back in the 1500s, I believe. He just went around counting things, and when you find a petal or a pine cone, or you look up how the tree grows branches, it usually grew one, and then 2 at a time, then 3 at a time, then 5 at a time, then 8, then 13, then 21, 34, 55, 89, 144. That's why the tree bushes out. This is where the Fibonacci sequence in math is even in things that look chaotic out there in nature, is because the Fibonacci sequence doesn't make sense unless you truly count it and understand it. Now, not only that, but this is where you get phi then. You have to do a bunch of division. Now, how do you do that? You have to divide the one number before the first, but it gets closer to phi the more you go out. If you divide 1 by 1, you get 1. 2 by 1, you get 0.5 or 1.5. 3 by 2, you get 1.6. 5 by 3, okay, you're getting more closer to phi. 8 by 5, 13 divided by 8 is like 1.6 or something. 21 divided by 13, and then it's getting closer and closer to pi. I can do this on a calculator and show you. And phi is very important because your entire body is made in the image of phi, and it goes continuously closer to the golden mean ratio, but it starts at a particular 0 and then a 1, which is how spiritually you get out of your body and you go around in this spiral that connects with the golden ratio, which is connected with how the pyramids were built. And basically, if you look at that number, 144, this is how the spiritualists got back to their body, is by understanding the sequence of the starting point. Whereas the golden ratio doesn't have a starting point. It goes continuously in and continuously out. So I'll just leave you with that for contemplation. And quickly, I'll just go over, how do you get phi in your body? Well, if you divide this particular by this particular distance, you'll get closer to phi. This one by this one, you'll get phi. This one by this one, you'll get phi. Then if you do your hand by your whole arm, you'll get phi. Okay? You do your foot by your shin, you'll get phi. You do your shin by your thigh bone, you get phi. You get the point here? You're made in the image of the golden ratio. Hence, we're trying to achieve monoatomic gold within our beings. And I'll give you a little clue here on the 144 and how that goes along with the true scale of music, which is supposed to be going to the 432 hertz. They have it to the 440 hertz universal around the world, which is actually taking it off scale to the true Mesopotamian scale of 432. So now let's just go into a simple understanding of how the Mesopotamians counted. Just as a side note, this is really interesting in how we got our scale 12 inches and how it doesn't make sense. Why do we not have 10? We have 10 fingers. Well, here's where the 12 comes from. Not only do you have 27 bones in your hand, okay, in the human hand, there's 27 bones. There's 27 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Therefore, each time you make gestures with your hand, you can be forming letters with the Hebrew alphabet. This is Kaf, which means open hand, and it means the tarot card of the Wheel of Fortune. So have your hands open, and you will be receiving much fortune. Having said that, how do you use the same phalanges to count? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's the 12 months and the 12 hours of the day. How do you get to a base 60? Well, now you have 12, and this is 12, 24, 36, 48, 60 with the thumb. If this is 60 now, you count back down to 12, and 60 plus 12 is now 72. You can count to as a maximum. Now when you double 72, what do you get? 144. I'm just having fun here to demonstrate that you're harmonically connected with these numbers, okay? And these numbers mathematically are in the golden ratio, and therefore they represent God's golden ratio. Golden ratio, and you're supposed to alchemically transmute into enlightenment, into a state of enlightened, or the golden rays of enlightened thought. So right back at our 1111 is truly the alchemy of the soul, which is pertaining to the 22 aspects, the 22 paths you can travel on the tree of life to attain higher enlightenment. But besides that, the 7 is representing your 7 chakras, which also can be the 7 levels of the tree of life, the 7 notes of music that they have us. And to understand how to attain that holy golden ratio is to sacrifice the 7 deadly sins. And we went over that in another episode, but the 7 deadly sins represent the 7 alchemical planets and metals as well. So as you digest and let go and surrender to the fire within you, you then create more heat and therefore create more light and enlightenment if you surrender the deadly sins. Now, this is just a little overview. This is in no way a study guide or a manual. It's for you to just take a closer look at yourself and how it can relate to your being. So we have the 7 steps of alchemy over here, and we have, okay, the 7 metals, or lead, mercury, tin, iron, copper, silver, gold, and their planets: Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Mercury, and Saturn. Okay, and this represents the 7 deadly sins. So you can, I'll do it another day, organizing it, but the calcination is the base chakra. That's the 2nd chakra, the 3rd chakra, the 4th chakra, the 5th chakra, the 6th chakra, and the 7th chakra. All right, now easier said than done, but I'm just pointing out the overall plan so that you can understand that as the 7 chakras, the 7 levels of the tree of life, the notes in the music, humming is very interesting and it works nitric oxide to be reproduced in your body through the nasal passages. Sacrifice of the 7 deadly sins to purify, okay, to become pure fire, as above here. All right, where we see up here the sun above us is pure fire. To become like the sun, which represents the 3 nature of God, is to become purified. right? It's very simple. You don't have to make this complex. I'm trying to simplify this so you don't get all convoluted and have to use all these big words to figure it all out. Like, we're going to go into this another day, and I'm going to break it down on what each one means and help you to understand the basic understandings of what these 7 aspects of the 7 steps of alchemy are. In the meantime, all you have to do is sacrifice one of the 7 deadly sins, and you're working on a particular chakra. Okay, we'll leave that up to you at another day to figure it out. Okay, I'll show you a little bit right now. The cube of space. Okay, you're surrounded by a cube. Therefore, within and without, right? You don't want to let sloth get to you, so you use joy to overcome it. Pride, maybe use humility. Okay, greed, use sobriety. Lechery, use purity. Avarice, use generosity. Envy, use abnegation, or detachment. And anger, use patience. Hopefully mercy. So the cube has 22 aspects, just like the tree of life. It has 12 edges, 6 faces, 3 planes, and 1 center. All right. The 12 edges outline the still magnetic mirrors of space, and the center and the 3 planes represent the center of the 3 planes of creation. Okay, condensing an energy, creating a sun that's hot, produces heat and light, and to give us life. Without the sun, we don't have life. So I'll go over this quickly and make this complex and simple at the same time. Some people say there's 462 gates on the tree of life. Some people say there's 231 gates on the tree of life. Okay, seems to be half of 462. Now we're getting somewhere. And how many paths are there on the tree of life? 22. How many tarots? Trumps? 22. But when you count the tarot cards, how many tarot cards do you have in the tarot trumps? 21. Why is that? Because the Fool, which is right here, Aleph, which is one of the most holiest letters that you need to know, okay, is represented by 0 in the tarot card. Therefore, there's only 21 steps. 21 steps. So I'll leave that as a mystery for you guys to go figure out with your mathematical calculators there, maybe 21. Okay, and I'll give you a little clue here. Just pointing out 11, 11, back to 11, 11. So if you 21 times this and 21 times that and see what you get. Have some fun. But let's make it simple. Back to the 50 gates of the tree of life. So how did this equal 50 gates? Well, let's make it really simple. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels to each Sephiroth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. The God name, the name of the Sephiroth, the Archangel name, the name of the virtues base, or the name of its particular aspect, and angels and principalities and powers, and then the name of the planet connected with it. So there's 5 times what? 10 Sephiroth equals what? The 50 gates. So they get up to the 50th gate to actually attain to the creation of the Ein Sof Or, oneness with the all that is, the source, is to attain all 5 levels times 10. Having said that, next secret is you have 7 levels to each of the next 7 Sephiroth, because once you attain to the 3rd triad, you're one with God. So you don't need to do any more 7 levels, unless you're so high up. But 7 here is do the 7 steps of alchemy here, then the 7 steps of alchemy here, then the 7 steps of alchemy here, then here, then here, then here, then here. Can you see your distillation process getting more refined and more refined and more refined? So, having said that, we uncovered the secret to 11, and Doth is 11. To get the knowledge, the Fool jumps off the cliff to get knowledge, okay, using Adonai, the Lord, and Yeshua, the Redeemer, which equals 56 or 11. And this equals 11 to conquer through Doth. So, applying theory to practice, we gain experience to then gain wisdom, knowledge of the wisdom, okay? Again, 11